Good evening. I'm Munish Gupta, Chairman and Managing Editor of PIO TV. And for the global PIO TV is the television platform for the global Indian diaspora. PIO TV and our affiliates, Foreign Correspondents Club of South Asia (FCC), United News of India, which is UNI, and Glow TV from Africa. We are all delighted to provide constant updates and coverage of the historic 2020 US presidential elections. We are being watched in tens of countries and across continents. Just our carriage in Asia and Africa gives us access to a very large audience. I am joined by my colleagues, Mr. S. Venkat Narayan. He is a veteran journalist and president of the FCC South Asia. And Mr. Avdesh Tiwari, a senior journalist and consulting editor of UNI TV. He is not on here, but he will join during the course of the broadcast. We are delighted to have our special associates, Perry Patel and Priya Samant from USA. Starting the show, we have very special guests from Delaware, from New Jersey, from Massachusetts and other parts of the country. But Delaware being the first state, and one whose elder could take the helm of the United States of America, the oldest democracy. We are here today to bring you in touch with India, overseas Indians, besides hundreds of thousands of others around the world. Let's talk about the USA and the White House starting 2021 and the relationship of America with the world's largest democracy and the world at large. So I will now request my associate Priya Samant, who is from Boston. She's an impact advisor and a strategic consultant. Thank you, Priya, for being with
Thank you
us.
so much.
Please now introduce Mr. Perry Patel, and we move on from there.
So thank you so much, Munishji, and thank you all to all this esteemed guests for joining us. It's truly an honor to be in your company. So I would now request our associate, Commissioner Perry Patel of Newcastle County, Delaware State, also a close friend of the family of the Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden, to please invite and introduce amazing lineup of the special guests in the live broadcast who will share their perspective on the 2020 election and currently this, I think we are in the fourth day now and what we are going to expect, as we go into the evening. So thank you so much, Perry ji.
Perry, you have to unmute yourself.
First and foremost, I wanted to thank you, Munishji, for taking the opportunity to get us live all across the world. And a lot of people are watching. Priyaji, thank you for doing that kind introductions. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce you to the panels. But just to set the stage, I would like to get a small video of Newcastle County, Miss Durham. She is the one who used to be Vice President Joe Biden's district. He was a county council person from that district. Start with that video that will give us a little bit of flavor, and it was recorded yesterday morning. And Mr. Meyer knows the county council, Ms. Durham. So with that, if you could take a minute to look at the video, that would be appreciated.
Anil? Oh. Just a second. Hello? There's a video, because there's a long lineup of videos. Anil, just listen to me. There's a video there of Mr. Perry standing with a lady in a blue sweater. So that's the one he wants you to play. Mr. Perry Patel has brought in incredible pictures from all of you's past and the present and some great videos. So Anil, first of all, bring the screen on so that you can share screen with us. And it's a video in which you will see the start frame with Perry and Miss Durham, the NCC seat it says of Joe Biden 30 years ago. Can you start the screen? In the meantime,
okay. Ms. Durham, she's our Newcastle County Council person, and she's been taking so much lead in trying to save the history. Yesterday, she gave her own house to be recorded on the historical review and overlay for the zoning. And with that, Ms. Durham, if you want to talk about the campaign or anything else.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here today to recognize the Fishers, who were the first property owners in the county really to take the step of historic zoning in, I think, 10 years. So it's exciting, and there's been a bunch since then. So they seem to have started a trend here. And yeah, we're putting our own house on as well. But also very excited that District 2 is the home of our next president.
Correct.
So I'm very excited about that. I know most of Delaware will be celebrating later today, I think, when everything is confirmed.
And you want to talk about his position with the county and where he moved and a little bit more about it?
So he was the county, he started in county council, what, 30 some years ago? Yeah. And so it's kind of neat for me to be in the shoes he used to wear. But I don't pretend to be following in his footsteps.
No, one of these days you never can tell, right? You know what? In history of me, I never thought Delaware would make it to the map. Last time I was really happy when Vice President Biden made it to the VP list. But then today, now think about it today. Oldest precedent we would have it is the first state where we ratify the Constitution. So oldest precedent with the oldest Delaware, and then you guys are trying to save the history.
So excited.
And I'm really lucky to be serving with you guys on the Historical Review Board, and with all the ability and all the power that you are providing, and especially providing the funding for those houses, because those are the ones that is being sort of kind of left behind. And what I'm learning is the new generation, the next generation, millennials are looking for this kind of property.
Definitely.
To save them, because right now they don't want to be in the city because of COVID. And I think that's why we want to make sure.
And they're also just built so much better than a lot of the new construction. They have character, and people love that. So we don't have enough to go around.
Exactly,
honestly.
exactly. In fact, I'm more managing also hospitals and rehabs, and I'm looking to see if there is a way we could take some of this. Because look at the homeless, what we just did at the Sheraton. We have so much needs for it. And I remember when we had the Philadelphia Democratic Convention in 2016, I had helped Mayor Kenny clean up with. So I managed rehab hospitals, and I'm looking forward to working with you. So Sheraton, that we are trying to get it at the county, has a lot of future. I'm going to talk to Matt and see what we can do together, because I would like to bring some investors.
It's very exciting.
I'm really, really happy. Happy to be working with you.
Anilji, thank you very much for that kind introductions. At this point, I wanted to take a moment, and I believe everybody could look at the published videos and everything, but I wanted to see if I could introduce you to Matt Meyer. He's our Newcastle County executive, and he has done such a tremendous job for all of us at the county. And I think, Anilji, if you could bring his picture with the Mahanswami, that he's giving the name in Delaware for the Pramukh Swami Way, and that is located at the on the Old Churchman's Road. And he also was being plaqued at the BAPS Robbinsville Mandir. Is Mr. Meyer on the call? Did we lose him? What happened? Yeah, I think we lost Mr. Meyer.
Yeah, I think so. He'll come back, but Perry, if he could keep.
I think I'm here.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, I'm here.
He's back.
Okay, so I think what I wanted to maybe everybody could read the bios on each one of the public officials. What I wanted to make sure is that I get to ask a few questions to Mr. Meyer. And first of all, Mr. Meyer, tell me how excited you are about the elections. What do you think? Where could you share with us? And just some sentiments that you would like to share with the proud Delawarean.
Thank you, Perry. Before we get to that, I just want to thank you, Perry. Here in Delaware, we have a number of commissions and boards locally in the county, as many counties, cities, and states do across the country. We don't have much Indian American representation on those boards. I was proud to appoint Perry Patel to our Historic Review Board, and what you saw there with Councilwoman Durham is Perry's leadership in making sure that historic properties here in Newcastle County and across the regions are appropriately preserved. Here in Delaware, Joe Biden is like family. I was an election monitor in the South African elections almost 20 years ago in Cape Town, And people would tell me that ANC, it was family. You couldn't vote against ANC because it was everybody had a story about the African National Congress. That's what Delaware's like with Joe Biden. To us, it's family. Now, to you, elsewhere outside of Delaware, around the world, I want you to know that there's a big change coming to America. We have a president-elect who's going to be passionate, who's going to be inclusive, who understands that our diversity is not a weakness, it is our greatest strength. So we're extremely excited here in Delaware. I know the whole country, based on what I'm hearing, the whole world is pretty excited about what's happening. It's even more exciting here in Delaware.
So, Mr. Meyer, if I may ask of you, as you know, and you and I have been on the campaign, the way it works, it is all each one of us has an account, and whatever we do or whatever the seminars and all the work we do behind scene, I've been doing this for the last 14, 15 months by now. But again, what I wanted to learn from you, Mr. Meyer, is that Jewish community came on and they sort of kind of became a melting pot of USA. What as an Indian community we could learn as we are going through this? And you know, Governor Markell and Matt Dan and each one of them, I've been to synagogue. So can you help us? How could you correlate the Indian community to be the Jewish community in the future?
Well, I'm tempted to tell you to do what my rabbi tells me to do, which is go to synagogue. But that probably does not apply. But
I've been there, so just so you know.
Yeah, I know many of you have been to synagogue. But and I was at a Hindu temple. In fact, we have the largest. What is it, Hammuraman? In North America, I believe, that came in February on a very cold day. At the time, it was the coldest Hammuraman in the world, but it's very large in Hocus, Delaware, here in Newcastle County. But I mean, the one thing about one thing is there are two sides. The Jewish community was not able to thrive in Germany and Poland and Eastern Europe the way it is able to thrive in America. And that was at least somewhat outside of our control. It was because there were dictators and fascists running the system. So that's one side. You need a receptive community, which for many, not all, but many American communities, America has been. But you also need to take care of each other. Jewish people, Jewish communities take care of each other. And I think it's not that different than the Indian community. You come here, you work hard, you really emphasize education, but at the same time, you don't lose your culture. It bothers me when I see Indian American children or Jewish American children who are embarrassed about their language, their food, their heritage, their religion. It's really important we teach our kids to be proud of who you are and being proud of your heritage in India. Your culture, your language, your religion is part of being an excellent American.
Mr. Meyer, since you've done such a good job with that question, I have one more question of you, is that can you help us? How was your experience when you thought about providing the plaque for Pramukh Swami Way? You help us make the road for him. And then you also help us, and you must have been impressed by looking at 136-acre parcels of land with the beautiful temple that we are building in Robbinsville. You had the good fortune to meet with Mr. Mahan Swami, who is eldest. So can you share what do you think? How was your experience that day?
So the members of the Baptist Temple came to me shortly after I was elected for the first time 4 years ago and explained to me that first responders were in charge of a 911 center, paramedics, police. First responders had difficulty getting to the Baptist Temple. People couldn't find it. It wasn't on Google Maps. The property they bought didn't really have an address. So what they wanted was to name the street Pramukh Swami Way. And that way it would be on Google Maps and it would be safer. And it would also be a way for us to illustrate our pride in Pramukh Swami, in the Baptist community and the broader Indian community. It's part of us recognizing that as leaders, it's not just a matter of saying we have a good, diverse community. It's a matter of being inclusive and saying that I, as a Jewish American, should be proud that we have a really strong Baptist community here in Delaware. It makes us all stronger as Americans. So I went to Robbinsville, to be honest. I loved it, Perry. I thought it was an amazing experience, but I'm also very competitive. I'm wondering how we can do something like that in Newcastle County. It was amazing. I've been to Sri Lanka. I've never been to India, but I felt like I've been to India once I spent an evening in Robbinsville.
Definitely one of these days we'll take you to India. And the last question I have of you is that I'm really, really impressed with your thought processes, the way you are going about with dealing with the COVID. COVID has created so much stress in our communities, and your leadership in taking on to Sheraton, I'm sure you are getting some flack for some of these discussions, but you are trying to create the national model for what's going on in our social environment and looking at the other side of the society, which is homelessness. And again, as you know, this is by choice. I have invited Mr. Kennedy and our proud Lieutenant Governor and Ms. Hansen. So I'll get to them, but can you share with us what do you think? How could we all come together? And I'll introduce to Dr. Patel, but we wanted to see if there is any way we possibly could help you, guide you. As you know, we have hundreds of years of experience in that. So I wanted to congratulate you for that. I wanted to learn a little bit about the national model. This model could thrive all across the country. And having said that, if I had the opportunity, I would like to serve in the Biden administrations as a drug czar, because that problem is, and Ms. Hansen and every one of them would vouch that. So having said that, if you want to say a word or two about it, I appreciate it.
Yeah, so starting March 11th, when we had the first cases here in Newcastle County, I know like Lieutenant Governor Hall Long and Senator Hansen, along with Representative Kennedy, we kind of dropped everything. And the primary concern was, how do we keep our community healthy? How do we protect every neighborhood from this dangerous, deadly virus? That was the first goal. Then the second goal is there are secondary effects that are creating vulnerable populations. There are pre-existing vulnerable populations for which things are worse. A couple weeks ago, as Perry mentioned, we took a step and we acquired at the county, we acquired one of our largest hotels to serve as a shelter for the homeless, potentially a treatment center for people facing the most serious substance abuse, domestic violence issues, potentially an educational center for our most vulnerable populations. We believe that this is a time to take dramatic steps. There's our communities have changed in dramatic ways, not just here in Newcastle County, not just in Delaware, not just in the US, but really around the world. And it's an opportunity to be bold and not just address the problem in front of us, but to address some of our longer term issues like homelessness and substance abuse. And Perry, I appreciate your partnership, and I know the Lieutenant Governor and Senator Hansen are on the front lines of that fight as well.
Thank you again, Mr. Meyer. And again, you're welcome to stay in. I think Mr. Kennedy is going to be there at this point, if it's okay with everyone. Can we play a short video that we had yesterday from the Newcastle County Executive at the, it should say the Newcastle County Executive's video with Mr. James Hanby.
Anil, if you can hear me, it is the second video that Perry had sent. So if you could put the window, if you could share the screen and play that second video.
While Anil is queuing that video, I would like to share with you, as Mr. Meyer has shared with us yesterday, you would find out that Mr. James Hanby is potentially a candidate as we are going through in the Department of Interior. So here you go, the video.
Here 45 years, and it is only in Delaware this could be possible. Somebody who is from out of nowhere has chance to serve on the Historical Review Board and also serve on the it as a historical in the Healthcare Fund Advisory. And it is my privilege and honor to work with Meyer, work with Jim, work with Ms. Gay and Ms. Durham. I'm going to let Mr. Meyer say a word about a few things about Indian community.
Yeah, all I want to say to the Indian community is that this is the best place in the world to invest. So take all your money, fund all your friends with money. Wherever you are in the world, you are welcome to invest here in Newcastle County. We are creating jobs like crazy. It's the perfect place, isn't it, Perry? It's the perfect place. Give Perry a call. Give my office a call. Councilman D. Durham, Senator Kyle Evans-Gay. We're all here working to make sure that this is an extraordinary community, along with my good friend James Hanby.
Sandy, if you want to say a word too.
Well, I would say, as someone whose family has been here since 1638, I think that.
But you personally haven't.
I haven't been here. It feels like it sometimes, particularly this week. I would like to say that Brandywine 100 in particular has had a long history of welcoming everybody, and I think that through 380 plus years has just been a really remarkable story. Truly, the melting pot of America coming in, the Swedes, the Dutch, the English, and all of the folks that came after have made Brandywine 100 in my opinion, one of the best places to live in the state of Delaware, certainly in Newcastle County.
That's right. Best chicken korma in the United States.
She just got elected as a new person, so she probably has a lot more perspective to share about elections, the Biden, the family, whatever you want to say.
Absolutely. And I will just say, though, from going the opposite direction, my mother's family immigrated here in 1957. And I'm the third generation now of hardworking folks. And that immigrant mentality doesn't leave us. We are hard workers, we stick together, and we build things together. And that's exactly what we need in Brandywine 100 and in our community right now, because we need to come together, unify, and understand how we can get forward better together. So, I am thankful when we talk about elections, thankful for the Indian American community who came out and supported me in this election. They know that I stand with them and all immigrants, and making sure that we are welcoming everybody in and making sure we're supporting our small businesses in the community. This election has been historic. It still is going on. I'm very grateful that in Delaware we had some conclusion to the election, but I think that we hopefully will just cross our fingers and hope that we have great leadership at the national level as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Hum, go ahead and add.
They said it all. You want to wrap it up, Perry?
Thank you most of all to Meyer Patel for being on our historic review board. The first Indian American in Newcastle County history, in Delaware, in American history, the first Indian American ever to serve on Newcastle County's historic review board.
It's my honor and privilege.
All right, Anil, let's come back to the main screen. Perry,
Sure.
I see that Lieutenant Governor has come on and off. I think she might be pressed for time, so you might want to think about it. And also, Congressman
ask her.
Kennedy.
If it's okay with you,
Congressman
let me
Kennedy
ask
is left.
Dr. Long, how's your time? I don't have any problem adjusting the schedule just a tiny bit.
Hello, is this for Bethany?
Yes, Dr. Long, can you hear me?
For me, is Patrick needing to go?
I could do either one. How's your time? I could introduce you and then I could go to.
I can. Can you hear me? Or no, I have an issue with connection. Can you hear me?
I think
we can hear you.
Not really.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Lieutenant Governor, could you, if you are pressed for time, we'll start with you first and then carry on.
I will defer to Patrick.
He's been very gracious. So I think.
So where's Patrick? He's left.
Mr. Kennedy, did we lose you? I could call him. I could get him back. Why don't we just go ahead and finish with Lieutenant Governor while we have her?
But she's also having intermittent problems with the broadcast, with the connection.
Yeah.
Let her come back, and as soon as she's back, I think you should start with her. And in the meantime, we can do an introduction by who's going to introduce the Lieutenant Governor. Are you, Milind? Are you going to do it, or Perry is going to do it?
I would do it. So
okay, go ahead. She's with us, so let's do it now.
Okay, all right. Dr. Long, thank you for joining us. It is my privilege and pleasure. She had the honor to introduce me and get me onto being the commissioner for the state of Delaware.
I have a very bad connection. I apologize.
Why don't we could hear you.
You're quite welcome. And I'll be very quick. Senator Hansen's here, and I'm sorry to Patrick Kennedy if I'm jumping with him. Thank you for what you do in Delaware. We are the. Can you hear me or no? If not, we'll skip to Hansen. I apologize for any technical difficulty. But again, thank you for having me on behalf of the state of Delaware. We're excited to be with you, as Perry has indicated, and others. We have lots of opportunity for international growth. Being the corporate capital of the world, I want to thank you for the work. I know we'll hear from Patrick in a moment and our behavior. We're excited about the Biden-Harris ticket, who are standing up for all of us, bringing unity across our globe. And again, I had other comments I was going to share, but given the fact I have really bad internet connectivity at this moment, I'm going to cut my comments short. But just say, visit our sites, come to delaware.gov, whether an entrepreneur in the health field, whether workforce development. Again, we are the international capital of our community. And to Patrick Kennedy and others who've been fighting the good fight for years, and Senator Hansen working with you and our county executive, we are making that difference, whether it's mental health, behavioral health, workforce development. I just want to say thank you. I'm excited. We've spent the last few days with the Bidens waiting for them to win. On Tuesday, I had the opportunity to street of the east side of Delaware, which is where he launched his career. He's a man of his word, and he will be the best leader to our community, not only keeping us healthy during the pandemic, but for our economy. So thank you for having me. I'm going to sign off. I apologize for the connectivity issues and for you bumping me ahead of Patrick, but the best to the community. Come invest here in Delaware. We have so much to offer you. Our prosperity office, our partnerships office, our economic office, we welcome you to Delaware. So thank you for having.
But before you go, Lieutenant Governor, I want you to know, as an Indian immigrant to America, my first media company was registered in Delaware. So you can be, I'm just sharing some good news with you. So I still have a couple of companies. I'm an Indian American. Right now, I'm caught in India with the COVID situation. But it's been a pleasure to have all of you, and especially you, and congratulations to Delaware. Go ahead, Perry and Milind. I know Congressman Patrick Kennedy has been waiting, so let's move forward.
No problem. I just wanted to put a little plug with Lieutenant Governor. She's been really a role model for state of in the entire America. She serves as the chairperson for the Lieutenant Governors Association. So she works with the 50 governors, and she is in charge of those 50 lieutenant governors. And really, it is a blessing. By trade, she is a nurse, but she takes her own personal time to go out in the streets of Wilmington and take care of those behavioral health impacted disease. And she's really hats off to her. She and I've been working and talking to each other almost like on a weekly basis to make sure that we serve the greater good of the Delaware. And then her national model with the help of Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Hansen. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Dr. Patel, who is going to then give us the introduction of Mr. Kennedy. Dr. Patel has been MD, MBA. He did his school at, he was born first and foremost at the Christiana Hospital. He has gone to the Charter High School. And then from there, he went to UPenn. He did his MD, MBA. Dr. Patel is specialized in the PMNR and pain management. He also has laid a lot of areas into the opioid stewardship. So without further ado, he acts as a chief medical officer for Lotus Healthcare Group. And Lotus Healthcare Group is doing approximately a sizable impact investments, and those impact investments are strictly into the opioids, into the epidemics within this pandemic. So without further ado, Dr. Patel, if you could be kind enough to introduce Mr. Kennedy, I'd appreciate it.
Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Perry, for the gracious introduction. Thank you very much to everyone for the opportunity to be here. It's my privilege, it's my honor to introduce Representative Kennedy. He's been an idol from afar for me, especially in my young career as I take on being a champion of mental illness and addiction. His work in the mental illness and addiction space and other brain diseases, including the mental health parity law, which he signed, with bipartisan support under President Bush, essentially was a milestone because it allowed those that needed addiction treatment to finally be covered by insurance companies. I mean, he's done so much work and been such a beacon of light in this area. He's founded the Kennedy Forum, which was a nonprofit organization which actually brought a lot of light into the national dialogue on transforming mental health and addiction care by uniting those mental health advocates along with business leaders and other governmental agencies. He's co-author of a New York Times bestseller, A Common Struggle, where he, explains his path to shepherding the federal parity law. And, he's obviously served on the President's Commission on Combating Drug Addiction and Opioid Crisis. So with that, I could go on and on about Representative Kennedy, but with that, I'll introduce him and I'll turn it over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Patel, and I appreciate that very generous introduction. I also, Manish, want to thank you for hosting us and providing a platform for the Indian diaspora to continue to stay in touch. We live in a smaller and smaller world, as we know, and it's so great that you're providing this great connection. And I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor for her amazing good work in not only Delaware, but the model that it's setting nationally for her advocacy for mental illness and addiction treatment and equal treatment for those illnesses. I thank you, Perry, for helping to facilitate this, and I'm just honored to be part of this call at this historic moment, not only for the oldest democracy in the world, but also the largest democracy in the world. And I think it's so appropriate that we mark this historic time by thinking about what made the United States such a great country. And I think very much, as Matt said earlier, we are a country of peoples from all over the world. And just like everyone else's family came from somewhere else, aside from our Native Americans, my family came from Ireland, escaping the famine, escaping the brutality. They came to America and they were discriminated against. It's hard to imagine these days thinking about the Irish being discriminated against. But when my namesake, Patrick Kennedy, came here, it was no Irish need apply. There was just no hiring of the Irish. The Irish made their fortunes in America in politics initially. My namesake, Patrick Kennedy, was a state legislator and a ward leader. And then, of course, his son, my grandfather, Joe Kennedy, got into business and of course, was enormously successful. But then for Joseph Kennedy, his ambition was not so much for himself, but for his kids, because he saw his success in life being achieved through the success of his children. And that is why President Kennedy was elected, is really because of the planning and the effort of his father. And that's why my own father, Senator Edward Kennedy, my uncles, and my aunts were also successful in their endeavors, none the least of which is my aunt Eunice Shriver, who founded the Special Olympics, which, as we know, has a very large chapter in India. But now we have Special Olympics in 190 countries around the world, and Special Olympics has really helped break down the stigma of those with intellectual challenges. And what I have tried to do in my life is follow the example of my parents' generation, my Aunt Eunice, in working to try to bring down the stigma around addiction and mental illness. Neither one of these are things that people choose for themselves. There's no way anyone chooses to have a mental illness that creates shame for them, that alienates them from their family and friends, that puts them in many instances at risk for being arrested, for being homeless, for being jobless. No one has an addiction voluntarily. They don't live their lives waiting to be arrested and lose the love and affection of their families. These are brain illnesses. And I think we're finally turning the corner in our understanding of these illnesses. And I think because we are all human beings, and because we've all suffered, I think the world has suffered, some more than others, clearly because of COVID. Mental illness and addiction are going to be bigger challenges than ever before because of the economic distress that billions of people around the world are facing because of the public health crisis. And we as a world in India, in the United States, and everywhere else need to understand we need to treat healthcare of the whole person. And I, Dr. Patel, look forward to working with you and others to try to make for a better system that treats the whole person. And we can learn from things that are going on in the United States, and I know we can learn from things that are going on in India. So Dr. Patel, maybe we need to go over to India and take a little look and do a research project over there next year when COVID lifts. And you can count me to join you on that trip.
Congressman Kennedy,
That would
I'm
be
going
an
to step in a little bit because we have a global audience and we want to capture some comments from a very interesting lineup of people here for the whole world. So, you know, the whole world, Congressman Kennedy, is watching America with bated breath as to how the things are going to unfold. And what do you expect? What is it that we're expecting? When will it finally unravel and settle down in America? And which way do you think it's going to end?
Yeah, well, let me start by saying, my uncle, Joseph Kennedy, was killed in World War II fighting fascism. There were millions who lost their lives in not only World War II, but other great battles in order for us to have democracy. And the reason we want democracy is we do not want to have violence be the answer to solving our problems. We want to have debate. We want that to be the decisive factor. And why is this such a significant election? Because we have a chance in the United States to turn the page. Clearly, what President Trump brought in terms of the brand of politics that he brought to the United States is very destructive. It marginalizes people who look different. It brings great antipathy to people who are perceived as not American because of the color of their skin. It incited kind of violence between peoples, and it reminds us that even though we live in 2020, we are not beyond those terrible instincts that have repeatedly throughout history put this world into conflict and cost millions of lives. So to have Joe Biden, who has got the model of class, the model of genuine compassion, and who, as was indicated earlier, is family. He has that familiar way about him that will engender a great deal of peace and compassion amongst peoples. And I think that will make enormous difference to the United States and the people here who have suffered so much in this tension. But I think it'll have a huge impact on the world, given the central role that the presidency of the United States plays in the international community. But it's important to remember that politics is a substitute for violence. If we did not have elections, if we did not have a political process, the only way we've learned how to solve our problems is through violence. And frankly, in many parts of the world, as we know well, that is still the way they decide who leads their countries, is who has more guns and who has more, physical power, military power. And we have to guard against that because, unfortunately, in better than half the countries in the world, that's still how we decide who gets power. So let's celebrate that we in the United States and in India have the chance. We're not perfect. We don't have this thing beat by a long shot, but we are working hard to fulfill the ideal of democracy, which is so important and can never be taken for granted, as we're understanding so clearly now.
Mr.
Because
Kennedy, I have one question.
Terry, one more little thing. I know before we get into the domestic politics, you come from a very illustrious family of the Kennedys, and the whole world knows about them. And in this election, one issue that keeps coming up or keeps cropping up in India, as it's been reported, is the statements from the Democratic Party candidates on the Indo-US relations, particularly when it comes to reference on certain internal issues of India. And I have seen, and I've interviewed your father, people in the family. Can you help us understand if is the Democratic Party line vis-a-vis India changing, or it's going to be as strong as it's always been?
Well, as I said, I think that we're all in a moment of time where we cannot take for granted that things that have been will always be that way. And we need to fight in our own time, in our own generation, to preserve all that was fought for and achieved by previous generations in terms of the advancement of democracy. And there are very retroactive, kind of very reactive forces that are taking hold all across the world. What we've seen in the United States with President Trump is really a phenomena that we've seen all over the world. We've seen ultra-right parties throughout Europe. We've seen it throughout the rest of the world. So all I would say is there's no place in the world that is exempt from this new combination of toxic political environment combined with a very virulent social media that adds gasoline to the fire, and the insecurity of people economically, which creates the environment for this fire to grow into a flame and burn everything around it. So I think that it's so important for us to always be looking out for democracy for our fellows, and so that we can have stability. I think whether you're in India, the United States, or anywhere else, we want stability. We don't want war. We don't want people to have to die because of preventable conflicts. And that's why politics is a noble profession. President Kennedy felt that politics was a noble profession because that's where you resolve your challenges. And I think this relationship with India as the largest democracy in the world is so crucial to our international security. As democracies, we need to do what we can to strengthen our own democracies, but also to work to promote democracy around the world, because we know that it not only provides security for our own countries, it provides a more secure world in the future if the governments are subject to the will of the people. And it may not always be perfect, as we heard Winston Churchill said, but he said it was the worst form of government. Democracy was the worst form of government, he said, except for all the others. And we have to keep that in mind and celebrate what we have.
Manish, I had one question.
Yeah,
Manish,
please,
if it's okay
please
with
go ahead,
that.
Perry. Yeah, go ahead, Perry.
Mr. Kennedy, the question I had is, and I could relate to these things. As you know, I lost my mother when I was 2.5, 3 years old. And I could relate to that. You have lost an uncle. 2 uncles, in fact, got shot, JFK and Robert Kennedy. And how do you, and as you know, Mr. Biden's family, or VP Biden's family, has gone through some of those things. In fact, less than maybe a few hundred yards, his first wife and the daughter was killed in a car crash. And Beau Biden, he's like a son to all of us in Delaware. He was a God saint in all of our mind. He has done so much for the Indian community, including being at the BAPS temple in Delaware. We called on him for anything and everything, and he showed up. And we really, really miss him a lot. But as you see the tragedy happen in your family, in my family, in VP Biden's family, what is the message for those people to live the normal life once you have lost somebody?
Well, obviously, none of us is exempt from a tragedy. It's part of the human condition. And certainly, I think Vice President Biden's horrific loss has humanized him in a way that puts him in touch with people who are suffering all over the United States and all over the world. He is a man of compassion. He knows what suffering is. And I think probably what made John F. Kennedy such a wise and powerful leader at such a young age is that he suffered a great deal in his own life, losing siblings, but having served in the military and nearly lost his life in war, saving, and also losing crew members on his boat. I think there's a certain wisdom that comes from those experiences that transcends the longevity of years. And I think Joe Biden has definitely got so much wisdom from all the experiences that he has. And we as a world need that wisdom and experience more than ever. I think it's so appropriate that he will be taking on the mantle of this great role as President of the United States and leader of the free world very soon. And as I said, I want to thank all of my friends on the call for helping to make that possible, and to say, though, that his work is just beginning and we need to help him be successful. If he's successful, we're all going to be successful.
Okay, I'm just going to defer, Perry, to my senior colleague, Mr. Venkat Narayan. He's the president of the Foreign Correspondents Club. There's something we say about the Foreign Correspondents Club of South Asia in New Delhi, and you all should know that if there is a piece of news or any sort of writing or documentary or footage that is created from India and South Asia, it's one of our members that does it from the Foreign Correspondents Club, and probably all of the American media sits there too. So Venkat is the president. Venkat represents all of the foreign media in India. I'm proud to have him with us on the broadcast. Venkat, I'm sure you have a question before Congressman Kennedy makes an exit. We've been holding him for too long.
Having
yourself,
you,
please. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you with us. This important show tonight, or morning in your country. I had the pleasure of living in Boston, not very far from the Kennedy home. I spent a month working on the Boston Globe, so I have fond memories of Boston and Harvard and MIT and so on and so forth. The Kennedys' political dynasty is still fondly remembered in India because of the chemistry between John F. Kennedy and Jawaharlal Nehru, and the way Kennedy helped India during that famous war with China in the Himalayas in 1962. And the Kennedys have always kept good relations. When Jackie Kennedy came here on her own, without Mr. Kennedy, she was treated with great love and taken all over the country and so on. How do you look at the relations between India and the United States? You know, you are now going to have a Democratic president in the White House. Never mind the noise Mr. Trump is making, but he'll be out of the White House. The relations between the oldest and largest democracies in the world, what can we do to promote democracy in countries which are being ruled by dictators or military men? You have them in Africa, still a few left, South America, as well as in parts of South Asia.
Guys, we have good news. We won the election. It's been declared.
Oh,
all right.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So,
Thank you, Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Pennsylvania.
Is it
so this
Thank
makes,
you, Pennsylvania.
My wife is jumping up and down in the bed in the living room.
no, I'm going to ask our
It's like I feel all of Newcastle County, all of Delaware jumping up and down right now.
I'm going to ask my technical crew to make sure that we can all jump. We can make the screen jump so that we all look like we're jumping. But congratulations, all of you. Congratulations to everybody in the Democratic Party. I think this was a well fought, well endured, well persevered, and well endured election for the country. I think this has been a big deal. I hope the transition is smooth, peaceful, non-violent.
Munish, if it's okay, because since we have won, if it's okay with you, this would be the perfect time for Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Meyer to say something, and Miss Hansen, because Miss Hansen. Yeah. So go ahead, Patrick. Since we won, if it's okay with you, I'll call you Patrick. What do you think about the 46th president of the United States? The other day, I was at the riverfront and I ran into Mr. Owens, Valerie Biden's husband, and he was rolling the window down, and I was saying hello to him, and he asked me, he says, Perry, what is going to happen to your man? And right back, I asked him the question, what do you think is going to happen to your man? And we both laughed. But again, having said that, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Meyer, Miss Hansen, whoever wants to share something, it is a joy. It is really happened to be lucky time. While we are on the call talking about it, the election result came. So go right ahead. I wanted each one of you to share your excitement.
Well, just this is so exciting, and I've just turned on our TV in the background so you can see the byline on it. I appreciate that we were all in this together at this moment when this happened. So congratulations to our country and Godspeed to this world that we're going to have a new day. And I'm happy to have been invited on. Thank you.
Before we get into it, because I want to post it on social media as we are, doing this live broadcast. So I'm just going to take a photo because I can't
Anil is
contain
going
my
to get you a photo.
excitement.
Leave your camera down. We want your picture too.
Mr. Meyer, Mr. Meyer, go ahead.
Can you take a picture while Matt Meyer speaks and send it to everybody?
I know Democrats across the country are jumping up and down right now, across the world, really. I think people should know that it's not just Democrats who should jump up and down. If you know Joe Biden, you know he's going to be amazing president for Democrats. He's going to be amazing president for Republicans. He's going to be amazing president for independents. He's going to be amazing president for those that don't have a seat at the table. For people in the most distant corner of India who woke up hungry, who woke up with vulnerable health, who are not sure, how to get through another day. People who know Joe Biden know that he and Senator Kamala Harris, spend every day thinking about how to serve everyone. And it's something that should all bring us joy. And we should all look forward to contributing to the effort to make our nation and our world a better place.
Before you speak,
I'll introduce you to Mr. Hansen.
Before you get on there, I want to make this moment very historic as part of this broadcast. I want people who are watching us to know that we are coming live from Delaware, also from New Jersey, but primarily from Delaware, New Jersey, and Boston, where Delaware is the home state of the next president of the United States of America. It is called the first state, but it is also now going to become the state where the White House rules from. And this is very historic that in the middle of this incredible broadcast, with such a fine lineup of all of you here, that this historic moment was achieved. And we thank you all for participating. And yes, please introduce Senator Hansen, and please ask her for her excitement and her remarks.
Ms. Hansen, if it's okay with you, I'm going to do a kind introduction. Dr. Hansen is been a very good supporter for us. She was the Newcastle County president. But before that, I'm going to take you on to the other side of her and her previous husband, Mr. Christopher Roberts. He used to come to my old home. I used to be the president for Crafton Homeowners Association, and he would regularly come, and then I had opportunity to build hotels and things around in that neighborhood. But what stayed with me is that Stephanie was really into the environmental, making sure the wetland laws was correctly done, and she really has spent her time. Secondarily, I would share with you is that her Senate race last time was probably the one that was most costly. And it was the one that Vice President Biden gave all his time to make sure that it got won by Ms. Hansen. And the third thing is Ms. Hansen is the one who was going to be able to break the tie in the Delaware Congress. So without further ado, she has a wealth of knowledge. She's been serving with us on the Behavioral Health Consortium. She has really been going through, Mr. Roberts has been going through and suffering. Mr. Kennedy, you might have known about it. But having said that, Ms. Hansen, if you would be kind enough to share a little bit about you, Mr. Roberts, your life today and your relationship with Mr. Kennedy, and the message, if you could give me, how about this stigma that we have, and the stigma we talk about in India, in US, is nowhere nothing to in India, and India is really suffering, and people are having difficulty accepting the facts of life. So having said that, floor is yours, take your time. You have no restrictions on the time. We have all the time in the world, but first share your excitement, and you're working with VP Biden on the campaign.
Perry is paying for this broadcast time, and he's a rich guy, so don't worry about time. Don't worry about time. And now we're coming from Delaware, the state of the President of the United States, so I wouldn't worry at all about money or time. Go ahead, Senator Hansen, welcome. And
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much. My phone has been buzzing ever since the announcement. I can tell you the Delaware State Senate is very happy about what's going. We're all very excited that we now have President-elect Biden. I mean, it's a huge celebration. It's a huge sigh of relief and hopefulness that we're going to be able to recognize our country again, is really where a lot of us are coming from. You know, my thought is we celebrate big and we celebrate hard, and then we get to work. You know, the celebration that we're feeling right now, we have to recognize that there is a large group of people who feel exactly the opposite. So we have a long way to go. You know, we celebrate, we're going to have the White House. The map, when they put the map of the United States up on the wall, is what people are going to remember. Where's the blue and where's the red? We now have the person in the White House that's going to be able to lead us in a country the right way, that's not going to use fear as the fuel for his presidency. And we have to begin to heal our country. We didn't get here right away. You know, our country looked very different and felt very different in 2015, all the way up to 2016, until the election. We felt very different and we looked very different than we do right now. So we got where we are, let's say a half an hour ago. We got to where we are up until this election in an incremental way, taking us down a path that was dark, that was based in fear in many cases, that was divisive, and that played to many people's worst instincts. And it took us, it's taken us 4 years to get here, and it's ugly. And this race was a lot closer than anyone hoped that it would be. So what that shows us is that we have to begin, nothing is going to change overnight like this. You know, you don't begin to, you don't erase 4 years of destruction on an incremental level by one night of change politically. However, that is a crucial start. That's a crucial, pivotal start to now dialing that divisiveness back, dialing that fear back. We have so much more in common than we do that separates us. And to remind each other that that's what we want. People want to live in peace. People don't want to live wondering, what is the government going to do to me today? Nobody wants to think about it. They want to be able to get up in the morning, to think about what their day is going to bring, to look at their children, to go to baseball practice. They want to be able to go to their business without fear. They want to be able to talk with their neighbors, finally to have conversations. Remember when we could have conversations around the Thanksgiving table and the dinner table without alienating members of our family? To be able to heal all of that. People don't want government in their lives. People want to live peacefully. They want to live with kindness. They want to be able to live with the other members in their community. So what we need to do is remember that that's what we want. Let's start incrementally again, dialing back on that fear and getting back to what government is supposed to be. It's supposed to be where it takes care of people, all people. So I'm excited. I am tremendously excited. I'm going to remember that I was here today with all of you, and we got the great news that we have a wonderful new president-elect who is at this pivotal time going to be turning this horrible train around. But then we have to dig in and we have to think, okay, how do we get here and how do we start dialing it back? Because it's dialing it back. You know, we went from people went from thinking, you know, when you're little, things, and you're little and you get mad and your parents are like, oh, don't think like that. And you start acting out. Don't think like that. The next step is don't say those things. And then the next thing is don't do that. Well, we got all the way through thinking bad to vocalizing it, saying bad, and then action-wise doing bad. So now we've got to go all the way back there again and go, nope, let's think about where we are. Nobody likes this. Nobody wants to live in a neighborhood that's divided, where you worry about, can I go to the Easter egg hunt with my community and be worried about a conversation I'm going to have with my neighbors? You know, you want to be able, people want to live in peace. They want the government to help them. And so we have that opportunity now. So we have confidence in we have great confidence in our president that we're going to now be able to take those steps to now move this train around. So I'm excited about that. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to be a part of that as well. So
Ms. Hansen, you could share maybe what is Joe Biden like for the rest of the world, as the rest of the world is listening to this broadcast. You have worked very closely with him in your Senate, your spaces. So if you could give a little bit sense of what is he like, we all know him as a family member, but what do you think, if you want to add anything for the readers?
Everyone, just about everyone in Delaware has a personal Joe Biden story, because he's that kind of a person. We've all had interactions with him, numerous interactions with him, in which he is one of those unique individuals that has the ability to connect with whoever he's talking to like he makes you feel like you're the only person in the room, that he really cares about you. And then the next time he sees you, he'll remember you. So I met him many, many years ago when I was running for county council and I had little children. 20 years or so passed until I was now I'm in the state Senate, and he was campaigning. He called to campaign with me, which was wonderful. And he remembered the name of my children. He remembered the names of my children from 20 years ago and asked them how they were doing, asked me how they were doing. He asked me, well, what can I do for you in your campaign? I know, yeah, fine. I'll appear with you and we'll do a fundraiser together. Happy to help you in any way. And I said to him, kind of like on a dare. I don't call it a dare. You don't dare him, but I said in kind of like a funny way, oh, come door knocking with me sometime. Because as a candidate, you go door knocking and you knock on the door. And you know what he said? He said, sure, I'll go door knocking with you. And he actually did that. So Joe Biden went door knocking with me in a couple of my Democratic communities. Actually, and what would happen is when word got out that we were actually there door knocking, you could only go about 5 or 6 houses before, the neighborhood was buzzing and everyone was coming out of their homes. And remember, this is 2017. So everybody was coming out of their homes and the road was like mob. So the practicalities of going door knocking with Joe Biden were clear. It was nice. It was a great gesture. It was incredibly helpful. That's the kind of person that he is. He is genuine. He genuinely cares. He genuinely cares about people, and he understands where we need to go. So he is 180 degrees different than the president that we just had. Okay, that's what Joe Biden is.
Minister, go ahead. You might have a question of Ms. Hansen.
Yeah, it's just I'm trying to pick up on the sentiment, on the flavor, on the euphoria in Delaware State, for people around the world, and I just want you to be able to convey that how tough has the election been, but what a respite, what a sigh of relief. I am still going back to the remarks made by now President-elect Joe Biden 2 days ago, when he said that, look, I am going to, if and when I am finally declared elected, I will rule or run or govern America not as a Democratic only party chief, but just as a president. And I think he was trying to sort of assuage the feelings of whatever's happened in the last, particularly 1 year of this very, very, very emotional, very charged campaign between the two parties. So what is it that, what do you think? Tell us, you're all Delawareans. What do you think is happening at the Biden home right now?
At the Biden home right now? I think that they are, I think that everyone around him is of course, very much celebrating. I know that he is very much celebrating as well, because this is tremendous. I know that he also feels very greatly the weight and the responsibility and the hope that we all have in him. So I'm sure that he is thoughtful. My guess is he's going to allow himself and everyone around him this great period of euphoria and celebration, because it should be. That's exactly what it should be. And then it's very much the weight of knowing that look at what's ahead of us and how we need to begin to bring the community back together again. You know, Delaware is a very small state. We only have 3 counties. From the north, the north is Newcastle, then we get the middle is Kent, and then we got the southern county, which is Sussex County. And it's very much a microcosm of what is going on in the United States, because we have the northern county, which is very blue, it's very Democrat. We have the southern county, which is very red. Trump won in the southern county. And then we've got the middle county, which is sort of purplish. So I think that looking at that, you see how this election is closer than anyone really wanted it to be. And like again, I kind of go back to, we have a lot of work to do. We didn't get here overnight. We got here in 4 years using fear and bringing out all the worst qualities in people incrementally to get us to the spot that we are right now, which is a terrible place to, the spot that we were, which was a terrible place to be. Now we have turned the corner. So it's a new day. It's a new slate. So wonderful.
Well,
My
thank you
mother's
so
calling
much.
me again. I turned it off. I've got everyone. The phone is blowing up because everyone is so excited. Everyone is so excited.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Senator Hansen. That's incredible. We are just very pleased with the fact that we have been joined by all of you live from Delaware and going through this historic moment, celebrating the next president of the United States of America. Thank you for making the time for us. I am looking for Priya. I want to make sure that Priya can come back on and introduce her next set of guests. Priya, if you're around, I think.
I'm around. I'm sorry, my charger, actually, my battery was dying, so I had to go get a charger. So we did have Senate-elect Honorable Neeraj Antani, but I think I lost him. But, you know, hopefully he will be coming back. But okay. I wanted to introduce my friend, and he was the national co-chair of Outreach for South Asian for Biden, Nikki Shah. So, Nikki, you know, I mean, I can't contain my excitement. You know, I worked with Nikki on South Asian for Biden and also Hindu American for Biden. So, Nikki, what are you feeling right now? See, we are first generation immigrants here, right? And what are you feeling now? I mean, I cannot contain my excitement.
Again, I feel like America can breathe again. You know, we're breathing the fresh air. This is a very exciting time. We've worked so hard for this moment. We are bringing somebody who has values and character to the White House, who's going to look out for common people with a common sense attitude, yet be able to make decisions based on evidence and science. So this is truly an exciting time, and our hard work of each and every volunteer and you know, folks on the campaign trail have made it. And what a fantastic opportunity and learning that we have, you know, gained as part of you know, working virtually and making phone calls and going on Zoom and making video calls and getting people organized virtually. I think that's a case study in itself.
Right. So see, our community, the Indian community, because for the United States, the US-India relations, you know, for both the countries are extremely important. But as you saw, while, you know, we were preparing for this day, you know, there is a bit of a divide. So going forward, what do you think would be path for, you know, coming together as one for the prosperity and the future? What do you think, like from our community perspective, we can do on ground? Because, you know, as the president-elect Joe Biden has said, he's going to be the president for all, irrespective if you voted for him or not. So what do you think as on a ground level that we can do?
Well, I think it's very important to understand that US-India relations are an important fabric, not only for both nations, both the largest and the oldest democracy, but also on issues that matter: climate change, economy, healthcare, education.
Oh, you are. Can you please be muted, Mr. Patel?
Perry Saab, you have to mute yourself.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think these issues are the strategic partnership really matters on issues like healthcare, climate change, education, economy, innovation, and there's so much of collaboration and partnerships that can come out. Go back to the 8 years of Obama-Biden administration where you saw relations between both countries flourish. This is a second opportunity for us to be able to organize ourselves, internalize our values and our belief systems, and make sure that we lift each and every person, whether it's in the United States or in India, to make them better off and for them to have a very meaningful and purposeful life. That's where we can be of value add. Being able to unite our values, our systems, and our viewpoints, and make sure that we're focused on the issues beforehand.
Right. So I think we did have Representative Antani with us. I think he's going in and out. So while he joins back us again, Mr. Munishji and Venkat sir, do you have?
I'm sure Venkat has a thought and a question of Nikki, who represents the young South Asians rooting for working for Biden and especially since you're still pursuing your degree of Master of Science at Columbia, is that?
Yes, this is my second master's in sustainability management. I'm focusing on ESG finance, environmental issues, social issues, governance issues, and that's where governance matters. The political process, what I realized over the last 6 months and even prior to this, is that how we choose our government it really matters, and that will affect how our president is going to govern. And as we all have seen, he has stated many times that he's going to be the president for the America, and not just a Democrat. So we're going to work hard to make sure that we bring each and every individual into the fold.
Venkat, please.
Yeah, the very outset, I want to congratulate President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Devi Harris and all the hundreds of thousands of Indians who worked very enthusiastically for them, including Paresh, Peri Patel, Priya Samant, Nikki Shah, and Ramesh Kapoor, and Dr. Mukhi, and people with whom we have been doing all these webinars about American elections. And I'm delighted that 4 million Indians have found a home in the United States and working for that country. And I'm also very happy to see that 4 representatives have been re-elected, and more than a dozen Indians have been elected to the state assemblies and senates. And I want to use this opportunity to congratulate all of them: Ami Bera, Pramila Jaipal, Rokhana, Raja Krishnamurthy, on being re-elected to the House of Representatives. And 5 women are among the more than a dozen people who got elected to the state senates and assemblies: Jennifer Rajkumar, New York State Assembly; Kesha Ram, Vermont State Senate; Nima Kulkarni in Kentucky; Vandana Slater, Washington; Padma Kuppa, Michigan. Then we have Amit Shah from Arizona, Asha Kalra from California State Assembly, Ranjiv Puri, Michigan; Shri Thanedar, Michigan; Kevin Thomas, Zoran Mamdani; Jay Chowdhury from North Carolina State Assembly, and Neeraj Anthani. It's a wonderful feeling. I mean, I'm the only Indian. All of you guys are Indian Americans. So as an Indian, it makes me very happy that people from a great civilization have gone and found homes for themselves, and they are doing something which is helpful for the people of America. And also they have been playing a great role in bringing the people of India and America closer, and the kind of role they have played in making the Indo-United States Civil Nuclear Cooperation. And thereafter, the most recent interesting development was that the Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense were here to sign the basic exchange agreement and 4 other agreements. So we look forward to Joe Biden taking a great deal of interest in Asia Pacific, and they have been wanting. I remember when Hillary Clinton came here as Secretary of State, she had said that we would like India to play a pivotal role in Asia Pacific. Now it is India Pacific. And Joe Biden, when he came here as Vice President, he said, I would like to see the trade between India and the United States to be $500 billion. It is now, I think, $150 billion. So, Nikki, what do you think the Biden-Harris team will be doing to take relations between the world's oldest democracy and largest democracy to newer heights?
As the administration begins to form.
Yeah, we can hear
That's
you.
an excellent question. Thank you for asking that. As the administration begins to form, I think we're going to have to take stock of where we are, figure out, what we need to do in terms of making these, the trade ties very strong. We're in a pandemic, so being able to deal with the pandemic, looking at, where businesses stand, what kind of incentives and programs and policies we need to put in place to, sustain them and make sure that they're stronger. I think those are interim steps that I think will be thought about as the administration begins to form, and having a strong engagement both from the diaspora but also within India is going to be necessary. The more we engage, the more we will find out where the opportunities lie, where the challenges are. I know that with technology, that's going to be a major factor and an important factor in bringing the countries together. Partnerships in health and education, being able to solve those problems on the development side will be critical for both countries to join forces on. And so based on that, I think there is a path to a low carbon economy, which is very important in this day and age. As we see the carbon emissions rise, we need to tackle climate change and make sure that we're both aligned on low carbon economy, and make sure that
Thank
we
you.
use,
Thank you, Nikki. Priya, we have Neeraj back with us. He's joined us, so you can. Neeraj, maybe get your camera to switch on, so that we can look at you and talk.
Ministry, I wanted to just go back.
Actually,
I wanted to go back to Mr. Venkat Narayan and ask if it's okay with you, Priya, 1 more second. I think one person is joining, Rasin's been joined, but again, question for Mr. Venkat Narayan, what he brought is, I don't have any position, but I'll share with you.
Perry, just 1 second.
Paresh, Representative Antani has very limited time because,
So
we are over our...
Let's work with him first,
Yeah, so I just wanted to... to all the audience, I wanted to introduce you, Honorable Representative and Senate-elect Neeraj Antani from the state of Ohio. We have to, congratulate him on the win. He's a very young politician, and he's from our diaspora, and it is. For us, I and Nikki are first-generation immigrants, but somebody to see who is a rising star, we should all applaud him for the work that he's doing in the state of Ohio, and he's one of the members of our community. So with that, Representative Antani, I wanted to ask you, with this historic win, that our very own Madam Vice President Kamala Harris is now the Vice President elect. What do you want to share? I mean, the future of the politics is looking really good. I mean, there is definitely a divide between the parties, but what do you think as a Republican Senate elect? We are unable to hear you.
Sure. Thank you, Priya. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can
Yeah, we
hear you.
can.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we
Thank
can.
you so much.
Well, thank you, Priya and Manish and everyone for having me. I'm honored to have been elected on Tuesday as the first Indian American state senator in Ohio history, and I'm honored to continue serving as the youngest Indian American elected official in the United States. Truly, we've seen some, great achievements across the political spectrum for our community, and I think we will, continue to see that. Obviously, the presidential race is what is receiving all of the attention, but I think those of us serving at the state level are working hard and working across party lines to make a difference for our communities. And so as we move forward, it's truly an honor for me to serve and to continue being a voice for our community.
I have a quick question. Neeraj, I'm also an Indian American. I am now a US citizen, but of course I float between India and the US constantly. And we actually cover the India and the world for the Indian diaspora. What a proud moment. Congratulations as the youngest Indian American to be elected to a position. Uh, where do you personally set your sights? What is it that you want to accomplish? And what do you think the community should accomplish?
Sure. Well, for me, it's representing my constituents and trying to, improve the lives of Ohioans every day. We have great challenges with the current economic and health crisis with COVID-19 that, we are facing. And I think we both have to be able, to keep people safe, particularly the vulnerable, while also, ensuring that people can work and make a living to provide for their families. And so right now, I think that's, priority 1, 2, and 3. And so, we will continue working hard on that.
Venkat, do you have a thought or a question for Neeraj?
Neeraj, it's, I'm thoroughly impressed by the fact that several dozens of Indian Americans have fought in the state level assembly and senate elections, and more than a dozen of you, ladies and gentlemen, made it to the to your respective state assemblies and senates or whatever. It's a proud moment, not just for the Indian American community, but to the people of India also, because you are our ambassadors in the sense, people of America will form their opinions on the basis of what you do there. And that is how the relationship between India and the United States is becoming stronger by the day. Neeraj, what would you like to do to kind of promote relations between our two countries, the oldest democracy and the largest democracy, during your term?
Absolutely. That's a great question and something I work very hard at. I have a great relationship with the government of India, in particular, the ambassador and our consul general out of New York, and work very hard, particularly with helping them with Ohio members of Congress and educating them on important issues as far as the U.S.-India relationship goes, and whether that's why the United States should understand that the abrogation of 370 by the government of India is a good thing. Why CAA is a good thing, and we were very successful. When CAA came in and when the abrogation of 370 happened, and getting our members of Congress in Ohio, some who serve on Senate Foreign Relations and House Foreign Affairs, to understand that these these two things are very important for the U.S.-India relationship.
Okay.
Great, Neeraj. Thank you so much. Congratulations again. Thank you for making the time. While I'm sure you're
Thank you very
very
much.
busy with
Absolutely.
whatever's going on, and stay connected. And we'd be only too happy to
Very happy
introduce you to more of the diaspora in the United States and around the world. Thank you so much. I
Neeraj,
know
thank
that
you
Perry.
again. Congratulations.
Yeah. I know, Perry, that you brought on another guest, Rasik Patel.
Yes, Rasik, can you hear us?
I would have loved to see Neeraj and Rasik both on their cameras. People would love to see who you are. It's always important to put a face to the name. I don't know if
Rasik, are
there's
you
a
there?
bandwidth issue.
I think we lost Mr. Rasik Patel.
Oh, okay. He'll come back. He's driving, but he'll come back. Mr. Venkat, if it's okay with you, Munishi, I was going to. Rasik ji, are you there?
Yeah, Rasik is back.
Rasik ji, can you unmute yourself? Rasik ji, can you hear us?
Yes. Hello. Yes. Hello, everyone. This
Yeah.
is Rasik Patel. Can you hear me?
So as an introduction, I wanted to let everybody know Rasik ji is like my right-hand person. He takes me around in the town as my confidant, and he introduces me to all the public officials. It is my job to bring all the public officials to all the different locations, but then Rasik does all the work behind scene to make sure everything goes well. And with that, Rasik ji is the one who could vouch for Matt Meyer, Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall, Senator Hansen's, and not that much Patrick Kennedy because he's from the Kennedy family. So Rasik ji, if you want to say something about the winning of the elections by Joseph Biden, your experience with his son Beau Biden coming to the temple, and if you want to pass on the blessings from the Swami, this is your opportunity. Rasik, can you hear us? Go ahead.
Thank you, Paresh. Yes, thank you. Since Paresh mentioned that I'm driving, so I'll make it quick and easy for everyone. My name is Rasik Patel. I'm a volunteer out of Newcastle BAPS Temple. And I just spoke to our senior most sant here in Northeast region. And on behalf of BAPS, he has passed his blessings to the group, and congratulations, Neeraj ji. On behalf of BAPS and our Guru Mansai Maharaj, our best wishes for the coming election, and to Mr. Biden to take over the president of United States. So with that, I'll mute myself because I'm on the freeway, and I'm on hands free. So I'd like to, if any questions.
No, we want to be make sure you are safe. We want to make sure you are safe. And only question I have is, Rasik ji, if you want to share a word or two about Beau Biden coming to the temple and your experience while you are driving. You don't have to keep the video on.
Yeah, Mr. Beau Biden visited our temple, and he was impressed with the BAPS charities activity we do in Newcastle. And he did mention during his visit to our temple in Newcastle, Delaware, that one day my dad is going to make it to the as a president, and here we are, 2021. We see his dream come true.
That's incredible.
Thank you, Rasik ji. Is there anything else you want to add? I know you are driving and we want to make sure you are safe. Now, how did Mr. Meyer help you in getting the Pramukh Swami Way road in the Delaware and all the effort that we all put together? If you want to say a word or two about it.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Meyer, Newcastle County Executive, he helped our temple in Newcastle to rename the street or the Mandir address to One Pramukh Swami Way in 2017. And he also met and took blessings from His Divine Holiness Mansai Maharaj in 2017, September. And our Guru Manswami did give the blessing that you will one day make it to the Delaware Senate. I'm glad that Mr. Meyer is re-elected as a Newcastle County Executive, and we continue to have a good long-term relationship with Mr. Meyer as well.
Thank you, Rasik ji. You are driving. I'll let you guys. Anybody has any questions of Rasik ji?
No, we're fine. And, we're actually almost an hour and a half into this broadcast.
No, I think I understand. Rashidji,
Yeah,
thank you again, and we'll talk.
thank you very much, all of you.
Venkat, yeah, I wanted to make one
and
statement to Venkat Narayan,
sure,
that
sure.
he mentioned to me about the India and US relationship. All I will share with you is only in the Biden administration there is a very good opportunity, and I'm asking the support from Indian government, is that this is an opportunity to have a permanent seat on the UN Council. So this is our opportunity, open arms, tell us what we need to do. This is our time. Let's get the UN security seat that we have. We have temporary, but we want to have a permanent seat. So whoever on your part you need me to connect, I'll be more than happy to.
So Venkat will dutifully pass on your offer to Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is the External Affairs Minister of India, because I don't think Venkat or I want to get into this getting the seat.
No. Again, I think as you know, I know Mr. S. Subramanian Jaishankar.
Actually, Obama announced in Indian Parliament that America will be happy to see India as a member of the permanent member of the Security Council. The Russians are for it, the British are for it, the French are for it, only the Chinese are opposing it. That is the problem. If we can do something to neutralize the Chinese opposition, given the present conditions and the confrontation in the Himalayas, that would be a very, very good achievement, Paresh Bhai. And I would love to be in the White House on the 20th of January for the swearing-in ceremony. If some passes or whatever formalities need to be done, I'll be delighted. Okay.
No, and again, I think, Mr. Narayan, I'll share with you again. Sure, I think we're gonna do anything and everything possible to make sure India has the permanent seat on the Security Council. Secondarily, each year I have gone to the inaugurations for both the time, and Biden family has a very nice plaque, and it says Biden family. It doesn't say any other members or anything passes when we go pick it up. I had a distinct honor to spend the 2 days with Prime Minister Modi when he came. So all those things are only possible in Delaware, and I had so many extra passes. I gave it to my friends. They drove from all over. By chance, because of COVID, we may not have. It could be a virtual, but it will be my honor and privilege as soon as we get closer to that. I'll be more than happy to help any which way to anybody.
Thank you so much, Perry. Thank you all of you. Thank you, Nikki, and Priya. I know you expressed a little bit of your enthusiasm, excitement, which you've been holding. I saw you pent up a few days ago when we were talking about the elections and the results, and I kept telling you, smile and cheer up. And today I can see that smile. It keeps coming and keeps going, but it's there. And so tell me, as a first generation immigrant who's worked on a couple of presidential campaigns with the Democratic Party, how different was this one versus the others? In what way, and did it keep you on pins and needles? And what has it ended up doing to you today? I mean, I'm sure that after this broadcast finishes, you want to open the door, get out of your house, and probably jump in your yard and shout and scream.
Yeah. Well, my phone has been ringing a lot, the messages I've been getting. So see, I started from the ground up. This is my third election voting, and second election getting involved on a, very closely. In 2016, during Secretary Clinton's campaign, I worked on the tech and innovation policy. I was a member advisor to the tech policy. That's my background, social impact tech, and US-India relations. And I was just learning, and I had crafted a lot of initiatives, and we were able to implement it in 1 or 2 states because I was just learning the process. With this election, not only did I get involved on the Innovation Policy Committee as a member advisor for the Biden campaign, but I was also part of other initiatives, which is South Asian for Biden and Hindu Americans for Biden, again started by a very young, dynamic lady Neha Diwan. And through that, I met Nikki and many other, volunteer members who we had the honor of bringing them during our first broadcast in this series. So, inclusion is very key, because I was included and, given the opportunity to speak and, what I brought to the table. So it kind of, gave me that encouragement and support that I needed, where, not only did I write a paper on US-India relations and, what the Democratic Party has to do moving forward to have the Indian Hindu community and their voices heard. And it was very, very well taken, very, very well taken. So I've always said that inclusion is key. 20 years back, as a first generation immigrant, I had never thought that, one day I would be sitting giving my opinions on a presidential election. But then, I had an opportunity to closely work on President-elect Joe Biden's election. I mean, and I'm very, very honored and thankful for that opportunity. And what I would like to also add here is that I'm equally honored that, when I came with an idea of a strategy of doing, that the Indian media needs to understand and the world media needs to understand, we working on the ground level, the perspective of we think what, the work that President-elect Joe Biden had done with India previously, we had to, clear, refresh their memory of the Pokhran one and the US-India nuclear deal that had happened when he was the chair of the Foreign Relations Committee. So that all had to be brought into perspective. So first, the journalist Rajendra Wagmare and then my friend Ankur Sharma is who introduced me to President of FCC, Mr. Venkat Narayan, who graciously liked the idea that I brought on the table of doing, first webinar on the US-India relations. And then Munish, Mr. Gupta, you graciously, believed in, what we were bringing to the table. And you have been, being our voice, helping us amplify it to the entire world, not just to India. So I am so thankful for that opportunity. Thank you so much for that.
No,
And
but,
again,
I would like to echo your sentiments, your views, Priya. And I think, the media will play a crucial role in bringing both countries and people of both countries together. So thank you so much for, bringing me on. And we hope to stay connected and engaged in the coming days.
Yes.
No, thank you. Thank you. I just want to make a couple of notes here. You see, while we are here and this live broadcast here is symbolic of not just the relationship, but the actual connection that we've made here using technology today.
Yes.
You're in the United States, we are in India, we're all connected, but media technology has still not been able to address the challenges of information. So I think it's very, very important that those information challenges be addressed going forward. The good part is that technology today allows us to do a lot of things, and we should take full advantage of that. Give you a couple of instances, and I didn't want to talk about this till the campaign came to a close, till the election was declared. But there have been viral information making the rounds of the internet as to why this mail-in ballot and why were ballots allowed to be posted on the 3rd of November and why would they get there and be counted on the 6th and 7th or 10th of November. See, people don't understand. People don't understand that the oldest democracy of America, maybe for some people it is archaic or whatever the situation is. 50 states work their own ways and there's still the federal government. But it is a beautiful democracy. It is a democracy in which we've seen one of the fiercest fought elections. And I think we will see a transition which will still be quite peaceful and quite democratic. And I hope so. But at the same time, we must inform the world that, look, people are given the right to exercise their franchise. This is very, very important. Any constitution of any democratic country anywhere in the world must allow for people to exercise their right to vote in a very open, transparent, and decisive manner. Otherwise, elections such as the one that just have concluded in the United States would be up in the air for a very long time to come. We would not know who took the popular vote, who took the electoral vote, what was happening. But this is so transparent, despite all the whatever went on, in media, off media. So I think it's very, very important that people who have been here with us on television, and I was missing PG today, Priya. I don't know where
Yes.
PG is.
We missed him.
Yeah, PG has great insight, so we should, as people between these two democracies, the oldest and the largest democracies, strengthen the democratic institutions, uh, serve as beacons of democracy for the whole world. India has its own beautiful ways of expression of democracy. America has its own, and I think picking up from both, we can serve as a huge example to the whole world. I mean, India, when people go to vote, some 900 million people voting is not a small thing. I mean, look at what you've done. We were claiming the other day, President-elect now Joe Biden said the other day, 150 million people have got to vote. Two states in India have 150 million people that go to the polls. So I think this is beautiful. I think it's great. I think it's amazing. And my hats off to the Indian American community for playing the stellar role that it has in this election. Republican or Democrat doesn't matter, but the fact that we have come to assimilate ourselves in society, to play a socio-political role in society beyond the typical economic role that brings us to countries like America, the lands of opportunity, or wherever in the world, is a very important one for us, our future generations, and for the ties between the two countries. Go ahead, Priya, you want to say something?
Yes, I want to add here. So you mentioned about ballots, right? So see, there are mail-in ballots, there are provisional ballots, there are military ballots. So there are various kind of ballots. What is very important to know is that, voting is our fundamental right. Okay, when we vote, our voices are heard, and making sure that all the votes are counted is the foundation of the democracy. So, what has happened in this election is very, very important for the world to understand that all the voices were heard, irrespective of who you are. So, it's very important when people said it took so much long time for a country like United States, so, for their election to be declared. It shows that all the voices were heard. Nobody was left behind, and it's very important.
In a very close election, there are those people who predicted a tsunami win for either Mr. Biden or for Mr. Trump, and we should understand and we should respect the fact that the electorate has exercised their choice, have voted their mind for whatever be the reason, whether they were swung or swayed or influenced by either one of the candidates and their policies. But ultimately, America has once again delivered, once again delivered on the promise of democracy. And before we close, Mr. Venkat Narayan will have expert comments.
Well, see, on the day Joe Biden picked up Kamala Devi Harris as the vice president, his vice presidential candidate, I have been saying that this combine is going to win the next election. This was 5-6 months ago. If you remember, Munish, when we went to see the minister, we were discussing this, and somebody was saying, no, this is not going to happen. Trump is coming back and all that. And the first time I spoke to you, Priya, I told you we had shared a bottle of champagne because Biden and Harris are going to win the election.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right.
And, it's wonderful. I look forward to this beautiful relationship between the Indians and the Americans and Indian Americans going forward. I think the sky is the limit, and let us hope that we will continue to do similar webinars as long as this blessed corona virus does not leave this world. But we want to congratulate Indian Americans and the people of America on behalf of 1.38 billion Indians that it is a great day. As I said in my last webinar, Biden's victory is a historic necessity. America and the world could not possibly handle another Trump 4 years. That would have been terrible. And again, I want to remind you people what Churchill said. He said, I know the Americans always do the right thing after exhausting all other possibilities. And I think that's what the Americans did today. Congratulations, America. Congratulations, Paresh Bhai, Priya, Nikki, and everybody.
Yeah. But you know, we'll end on a very Indian note, that now the White House shall bear two names, and among them two very important words, Kamala Devi. You know,
You got it.
that's a big achievement, and history takes its own course, and I don't care what Nostradamus said, and maybe Corona is whatever he predicted, but through all of the despair, there is always hope. Through all of things that happen, there is some shining light that comes, and whatever's been said in the past has been said in the past. I am not going to dissect and analyze what candidate Biden or candidate Harris would have said on the campaign trail, but we want to look forward as Indians and Indian Americans to continuing heights of great friendship, strategic relationships, uh, socio-economic, political partnerships between our peoples and our countries. And that is the way and the future for this world. I don't think there could be a better symbol of cross-continental partnerships such as India and United States paving the way for peaceful and prosperous world. It'll be great to see Kamala Devi Harris taking oath when she does, and I'm sure that the oath ceremony will take place on the ramparts of the Capitol Hill. I'm sure whether it's virtual ceremony or whatever, but they will not change the fact that it must be where it has always been.
Right.
It's
Yes,
come
of
snow,
course,
rain,
of course.
shine, whatever, it is always where it is. And it's going to be quite a nostalgic, quite an emotional, quite a historic moment when a girl of Indian origin, when a lady of great stature in American polity now takes charge of the second biggest office in America. And definitely, as Venkat has said before, and a lot of other people have said, this could well be the road to America getting its first woman president in the future, and an Indian American at that. So great going, guys. Thank you so much. It's been a
Ministry, if I
pleasure
could,
having all of you. And
if I could just say a last word. I wanted to
fine.
thank you. I wanted to thank you for the time. I wanted to, I don't know how Priya found me, but she connected me through probably Neha or somebody. But again, I want to make sure that Munishji, we keep this momentum going. This is not a one time, one day, one and done. If there was a way we could figure out a way to have the thread common, whatever, and I would love to share what's going on. I'm sure there are going to be issues that we all will be dealing with it. But in a family, that's what we are trying to build. And I just would leave you with the funny small idioms what I learned. So my daughter-in-law is from Scranton, PA, and her name is Jill. My son is born and raised in Delaware, so that's where Jill Biden. So it is a crisscross. Delaware Jill Biden is married to Joe Biden, and Scranton Jill is married to Dr. Patel, my son. So it's just a thought that I would share with you. So it's irony, and in my phone I get mixed up because I have two Dr. Jill. So that just tells you how close we are with everything. So thank you again,
This is
all the
great.
work. I wanted to thank all the younger generation that's coming through the rank and file, and I think we just want to make sure we build on the future of both countries.
Yeah, and I would agree with you in closing in the closing statement. Now we are going to continue our journey together. This is just another step in this election process. The transition has just begun.
Right.
So there is a road ahead in the next 3 months, in the next 2 months, as 2.5 months, as the next president-elect assumes office and goes to address, to make the State of the Union address, and that would be a powerful one. And in a new Senate, in a new House with a new flavor, and of course the celebration of Kamala Devi Harris as the first woman vice president of the United States. and the world shall shower petals upon America for finally achieving that feat. I wanted to say that. I think it was time that America got a lady president or a vice president, and I'm delighted. Personally, I'm just delighted that that has happened. I think that was very, very important for the biggest, oldest democracy to show that, and we will continue our series. We will come back again. Let's try to regroup with what's going to be in the transition team. I know you keep having fingers, and we all want to keep saying
I just
things.
want to say we want to remember.
No.
I mean, I want to thank Secretary Hillary Clinton because she's the one.
Yeah. No, completely. And there are so many other women. Look, this women have a lot to contribute everywhere in the world, and particularly in the socio-economic political systems of today, particularly the United States. There have been great women. They will continue to be great women. It was just time, and I would just want to say that we will continue with the series. We will now look at the transition. We will now look at who is going to and how are President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris elect going to shape up their administration. What happens to the growing role of Indian American community in America? How does the diaspora around the world take this victory and celebrate the fact that there is Kamala Harris of their own in the White House, and the fact of how India-US relations are now going to move in what direction with a change from Republican to the Democratic Party, although I feel it's not going to make a difference. On that good note, thank you very much. Thank you particularly to our teams and your teams, also to the Foreign Correspondents Club of South Asia, to United News of India. We've been missing Mr. Avdesh Tiwari on behalf of UNI Television, but thank you so much, United News of India, and to my dear friends, our PIO TV partners that crisscross the entire Africa, Glow TV of the NIS Media Group, Nazir and Shabnam. Thank you so much for accepting this opportunity and giving us this opportunity to share this great platform and this momentous event with you. And good night from India, good morning in America, and to new beginnings. Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.